And welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. We're in mid-June already. You are listening to Full Press Hockey Weekly here on YouTube and twitch.tv/fullpresscoverage, facebook.com/fullpresscoverage, and youtube.com/fullpressnhl. If you're listening to us after the fact, you're listening wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please leave us a 5-star rating. Greatly helps out as we continue to grow the Full Press Coverage Network. As always, Mike Straw, joined by Jim Berenger and Chris Wassel. Guys, we have Stanley Cup Final. It's here. It's here.
Whoop. And now Jim and I can watch it in peace. Amen.
Absolutely.
Come on, look, Mike. I mean, look, it's like the elephant in the room, and I've joked with Jim with this numerous times and forever.
I mean, like I said, I think we lost Chris again.
Yes, we did. We did lose Chris again.
Never fail. We lose technical difficulties. But like I said, Jim, last week, before we get into the news of the day and preview the finals, I said I was adamant the team that won Game 5 was winning the series.
Wait a minute. Was it Game 5 or was it Game 4?
Or was it Game 3?
I was adamant because it was right. Our show was before Game 5.
That's true.
It was before Game 4.
Yeah,
it was before Game 4.
Yeah, whoever won Game 4 was winning the series, because my reasoning was, if the Rangers had won, I could see I could see them easily winning one of two games at MSG. If the Lightning won, or if the Rangers won, they weren't losing two games at MSG. If the Lightning had won Game 4, which they did, they weren't going to lose at home, and it was very easy to see them winning at least one of two. So I mean, as soon as the Lightning won that Game 4, the series was over in my book.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
See, I was the ballsy one that declared it over after Game 3. I was like, that's it. I don't see this getting any better for the Rangers, simply because, look, I mean, it took a while. No,
you're up 2-0 in Game 3, up 2-0 in the series. Like, you need to hold that on, because if you're up 3-0 in that series, then
that series was over.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, the chances of Tampa coming back from 3-0 down is, small. I mean, look, if any team was going to do it, though, it might have been Tampa, just because it's, been done in recent history. But again, do you really want to go down that road if you have to? No, of course not. And thankfully, Tampa got some power plays because some guy named Rooney wasn't reffing that game. Now, here's the irony. Now, as Jim knows, when they recast the ref assignments, Josh Smith, who runs scouting the refs, it's an unbelievable resource. People have to understand just how good this is. Now, Josh and I go way back from our days of the chicken and the egg, which Jim would know, the restaurant well. One of the best in the state. We're gonna get you down here, Mike, one of these times, just to go down there and
soon enough.
The debauchery alone from that restaurant is enough to kill. But look, Tampa found a way to somewhat defend the cross-seam pass, just enough, and that's the key, just enough. Now, that's going to have questions into this series as well, because there are a few teams that have defensemen that move like Colorado. Oh, wait, there's really only one team that maybe 0/1. And the lateral movement from just Makar and Taves alone is going to cause even a guy like Victor Hedman some serious fits. I mean, look, Tampa isn't going to be able to just clamp down and just block shots all over the place because of how fast Colorado's offense can move from its defense. It's going to be fun, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun series. I'm looking forward to it. It's just there's so many similarities to going back to 2015 when Tampa was in that position that Colorado was in, going up against the juggernaut Chicago Blackhawks, and that core was there. That was their first trip to the Stanley Cup Final. And then you go back to 2001 with the Devils and Colorado, familiar. We got structure versus speed and just so many different storylines coming in here. And as you said, they were able to somewhat defend the cross-seam pass. Andrei Vasilevsky got better with the series. Tampa got better with the series.
Man, if there's any doubt he's the greatest goalie in the world, if not in this generation or the last 15 years, there's none anymore. There's none.
No. This guy is a beast.
He's the most clutch goalie I've ever seen.
Ever. Along with the team.
Really getting to that point, like, even when you look at the Waz, the Brodeurs, the Hashicks, whatever.
He's up there.
When it comes to clutch, game, series on the line, it doesn't matter. He is coming up big. Literally, you can't even say most nights. It's every single night.
How about this for those listening, right? He's just entering his prime now. He's only in his late 20s.
I know, it's ridiculous.
That's scary
ridiculous.
to think that this how young he was when he came into the league.
He needs to be he is what teams look at when they are debating whether to take a goalie in the first round now.
Well, I was thinking about this. You're looking through like some of the draft picks and the things they made.
Oh my god!
Like Palat was 7th round. Kucherov, I think, was like where he was taken. Obviously we know Stamkos and Vasilevsky too. But I mean, look, the guy in his last 8 series clinching games is 8-0 with 6 shutouts, a .25 goals against average, and a .991 save percentage, and could have had 7 shutouts.
If you're an opposing team, or even an opposing fan, you get to Game 7 against Tampa, are you just like, not even watching? Not watching.
I mean, if they're up in this series, and they're like, if they're up in this series and have a chance to close it out, they're closing it out because that's what they do. And they were able to clamp down so good defensively. I mean, Look, one of the matchups I wanted to see and one of the things I wanted to see coming into this series is that Anthony Cirelli line. This guy is a shutdown center. His line has been so good, and they've been knocking on the doorstep of scoring goals.
They've done everything but score.
Hagel had an empty net goal in Game 5 to ice the game. But if you think about it, Tampa should have been up like 4-0 if those guys don't go to the backhand and just shoot straight on the net. Because Cirelli had multiple chances to shoot far post, and it was there to score. And if they do that, the game was over. But I think they're going to have their opportunities in the way they forecheck and the way they grind. It's going to be they're going to be very good, and it's going to be tough to slow down that Nathan McKinnon line. Can that Tampa structure hold up against the speed and skill of Colorado? I mean, Makar can move the puck, McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, all these guys. And the fact is now, potentially, you have both Braden Point and Nazem Kadri coming back into the series. And I think Point's an X factor when we talk about it later.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But first, we got some other big news that his firing broke before we went on the air last week, and before we go on the air this week. I'm saying I called it. Granted, it's not that hard to call, but as soon as it happened, my words were Vegas needs to do whatever it can and get him in. And reports are that Bruce Cassidy will be the next head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. Chris, first thoughts? Good fit, bad fit, indifferent? Did we lose him again? We lost him. Jim, how about you?
I'm going to say this is a great fit. Mature team, ready to win. They have a lot of talent. I think he's got more talent on this team than he did in Boston. He's got definitely more scoring depth than he did in Boston. And when you have Jack Eichel, you have Max Pacioretty, you have Mark Stone potentially all coming back, Pietrangelo, all those guys. I think this is the kind of guy, he brought a team to a Stanley Cup final within one game of winning a Stanley Cup. I mean, just look what he did with these Bruins teams the last couple of years. We talked about it last week. And, I think he's going to go out to prove that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely made a mistake.
Which they did, 100%.
Which they did. And he's going to have this Vegas team competing for not only division, but potentially Stanley Cup next year.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's where they should be, competing for a Stanley Cup, provided they get the goaltending and they stay healthy. Health is a big thing. But they were a team, even injury prone, as injured as they were, should have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, down the stretch, they just didn't win enough games down the stretch. They had chances to win. They blew leads. It lost. Dallas gave them every chance to get in the playoffs this year.
When you lose games against teams that you need to beat, like you should beat every team when you're in a playoff race like that. You should beat every team that's below you in the standings. And when you're losing games to
New Jersey,
you're losing games to the Devils. You're losing games to Buffalo, and you're not even losing them. You're getting out just class.
You're getting outplayed, outclassed, everything.
So yeah, Cassidy won't let that fly.
No, he's gonna lock things down. This team's gonna be a lot better, and he's not gonna throw his goalies under the bus when they're not performing well. Look what he did with Swayman and Olmark this year. He's gonna have a run of tandem somehow. And he's going to take whoever the hot guy is, that's who he's going to roll with, but he's not going to call the guys out in the media.
Exactly, which good coaches don't do. So Vegas hires Cassidy, the only hire of a coach so far. We still have openings in Dallas. We still have Winnipeg, which at this point now it's Winnipeg and Trotz. Like that's got
it has to. Yeah, I mean, I think
Trotz isn't coaching this year.
Yeah, I think that's the spot for Trotz. I really do. I think Tortorella and Philly seems to be like almost a lock right now.
Stupid. Tortorella is the one coach where no matter what, the game's past him. It's gone. It's past him.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised we see like Jay Leach or somebody in Boston.
Yeah, you got Boston. I mean,
Dallas,
Detroit, NHL. What did we look at? I think
it's Dallas, Detroit, Philly, Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, Dallas, Detroit, Philly. It's just certain things. I mean, what are they going to do? And this is what we're going to go throughout. Like, what is Dallas going to do? Rick Tocchet is still linked to a Dallas. He's still linked to a Detroit. He was linked to Philly, but yeah, it looks like if Tortorella wants it, that job seems to be his, which that's going to be a mess anyway. That's a 1 to 2 year job, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. Technically, Florida and Edmonton are still open positions because they really haven't taken the interim tags off of Brunette and Jay Woodcroft. So
we expect that to happen for both.
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about
Florida's a confusing one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Remember, they just axed 2 of their assistants too.
Right. So they may be looking. I wouldn't we say Trotz and Winnipeg's a lock, but that is where if they decide not to go to Brunette, that's a place where Trotz could slide right in. That team is fine. They lock it down defensively, and they could be in a Stanley Cup final.
Florida's that dark horse.
Yeah,
I think Florida.
I still think Trotz to
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg is what happens.
Oh, it's still the most likely, but as Jim might see on Sports Interaction at some point in the next week, Florida has entered the tournament, at least in those odds. So, so it's out there at the least.
Yeah, definitely out there for sure. But again, there's the board. See, to me, good luck, Dallas, if you hire Peter DeBoer. I'm just gonna throw. Chris and I, our feelings about
another
that.
retread that shouldn't be. You guys know my opinions on retreads. There's very few that I will say deserve it.
I mean, look what Martin St. Louis is doing in Montreal. Why wouldn't you kick tires on a former player who's been around? Give somebody a shot that knows the game. Like what Boston's doing potentially with a Jay Leach type player. What the Devils should be doing, bringing in, Bryce Salvador to help run the bench.
Let's put it this way: if Andrew Burnett isn't Florida's coach, I guarantee I'd put money that he will be a coach of one of the vacant openings. I think to come in and do what he did and keep the train on the rails after Quenneville was canned for rightful reasons, to do it and keep everything going pretty much without a hiccup, I think earned him a job, if not with Florida, with one of the teams next season. He will. I think he's a head coach no matter what.
Yeah, I think so too. So,
and then there's obviously the talks behind the scenes before we move on to the final. Quenneville is still being thought of as a coach. I hope to God not. I really hope he's done.
Well, but he's got to. If he does come back, he's going to be serving time anyway. It's not going to be time served. He's not going to get off for time served because of this year. He's still technically going to be suspended for a year.
Yeah, it doesn't. That doesn't change anything. So
that doesn't change anything. He has to write a letter. He has got to speak to Gary Bettman. Like, it's a long process for him to get back in the league. And then there's Mike Babcock, who's out there. His name
another coach where the game has passed him by.
Yeah, I mean, look. So I think a lot of these teams are looking to go younger. I think they're seeing what's going on in Montreal and saying, okay, maybe we can bring that type of coaching. I'm going to throw a name out there.
Whether it's younger or first-time head coaches.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a name out there that I think Detroit is going to be linked to and potentially could get the job is David Quinn, who coached Team USA at the World Championships. The way he was able to utilize those young players so well and get, obviously they faltered, but I think that's a guy that Detroit looks at.
I think that I could see him looking to it.
Do they hire him? No, but I think they look at him.
No. He's going to get at least a second interview.
At least.
I just don't think he's NHL coach, and this is obviously armchair.
Right, exactly.
Which is what we all do, but that's why we get paid.
Wait, what do you think, assistant, Mike?
I would say assistant. Yeah, I would say assistant.
He's a head coach guy. I think head coach if he goes going back to college. I don't think he, at least for the next few years, I don't think he's NHL head coach.
Well, I got a name out there that potentially, no one's really heard of, but we haven't heard in a while before we move on. How about a guy like Adam Oates? Like, bring that guy back somewhere.
I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened, but I also think it might be a case of maybe he just doesn't want it.
Maybe. I mean, like Stevens. I mean, those two guys were great on Devil's bench.
Stevens could be hired on the spot. I mean, he just doesn't. He doesn't want the headache.
That and the Devils need to make peace with him. That's what he's looking for.
Yeah. This has been something that's been brewing for a while. That just, I don't know.
Make peace with the man. That's it. That's all.
Are you guys? Here's the thing. Here's a question for you. Speaking of Devils.
Yep.
Are you surprised? Before we move on, are you surprised that Lindy Ruff was kept?
No, because no. I mean, at least we somewhat severed the Pittsburgh cord finally. Right. I mean, but no, I'm not surprised at all.
I mean, when all these other coaches were getting fired, you're like, okay, now Lindy's not going anywhere. But
Def taxes Liberia Tar Pits, and Lindy Ruff is still coach of the Devils.
And the Devils won't improve if that guy's still the head coach. I'm sorry.
Hey, you could have a random 05-06 type year. Like what he did magically.
Yeah, but who was behind the bench that year?
Lindy Ruff was behind the bench.
For the Sabres. For the Devils, I forget who it was.
I don't know. You didn't make it further than the Sabres that year.
Yeah, to the second round.
Didn't make it.
We would have made it further if somebody hadn't injured two of our players. That was the year Carolina injured their way to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and then the Sabres got staff.
Yeah.
Jay McKee, why? Why did you screw up?
The Jeff
All
Gilson
you had
game.
to do is clean your equipment, and you Buffalo would have gone to the Stanley Cup Final. That would have been never mind. That one still eats at me.
Yeah.
That one hurts because when Roy Fitzpatrick and Jeff Gilson have to be your top defensive pair going into a game 7.
Holy good God.
with that offense that they had. Oh, it's such a shame.
And that's just why you need all three phases. And that is a great segue to where we're going. The Stanley Cup Final is set. Colorado, Tampa Bay. Tampa going for the three-peat. Colorado looking to finally get there after years of building, years of hype. We get the matchup pretty much everybody thought was going to happen for most of the playoffs. I know Florida was the sexy pick to get there, but like you were saying, Jim, the entire time, until you beat Tampa, Tampa's the favorite. And we're going to go through this section by section. We're going to look at coaching, forwards, defense, goaltending. And why not start behind the bench, which is where we've been focused.
Woo!
You got Jared Bednar and you got John Cooper. And where, at this point, does the coaching side of things lie for you?
All right, so Chris will get this reference. If I had BG's board, if we were going into the championship of a tennis match, I'd have the check marks. I got 3 check marks for John Cooper, and I got 2 check marks for Jared Bednar. The 3 check marks for Cooper is because he's been there before, and the adjustments he's made with this team throughout this playoffs, especially in the Rangers series, going from 11 forwards and 7 defensemen to 12 forwards and 6 defensemen really helped and balanced this team out. Putting Riley Nash into the lineup allowed them to roll 4 lines, establish that Cirelli line. They were able to slow things down 5-on-5 against the Rangers. They were able to adjust a little bit. They still need to adjust the penalty kill for a little bit, but they've been able to adjust against the teams that they've had to go up against. Toronto, which was a real challenge for them. They worked through Florida, were able to slow the game down, and again, the adjustments against the Rangers. Jared Bednar, he's done a great job, and look, he should be getting considerations like John Cooper should for Jack Adams and more what this team has done, what he's done with this team, where he was with that team where it hit the 47-point lowest mark in franchise history, to come back, go to a Stanley Cup Final, go through the learning curve and everything. 12-2, 7-0 on the road with this team.
And what's incredible is it's a rare case of they let a coach grow.
Exactly. And if this team gets in trouble, which they did a little bit in St. Louis, they were able to adjust, and he was able to adjust. But if they get really in trouble against Tampa, can he make the adjustments necessary to defeat and dethrone a champion? That's what I'm going to see. That's what I'm looking for with this coaching matchup. I know Cooper can do it. He's done it. Let's see if Bednar can do it.
Yeah. This is starting to look a little bit like, and you don't want to compare eras, but this Tampa team sort of reminds me in a way of the '84 New York Islanders, where they weren't necessarily the best team at that point, but they managed to get through the Eastern Conference that year in ways that you just had to sit there and go, that's coaching.
Yeah,
that series is coaching. That series. I mean, look, the Rangers should have eliminated them that year. They were actually on equal footing and arguably the better team in that series. People don't realize that first round was not a best of 7. I'm just saying. And the Rangers had them absolutely on the ropes. I mean, you look at every round, the Islanders were on the ropes except for round 2 of that. And look at Tampa, same thing. You know, on the ropes in round 1.
What was it? I think who put that out? I think was it Rob Trav put
that
out. He said like the Islanders won an overtime game, came back in a series. Like it's scary.
It looks like a playbook, Mike. That almost you have to sit there and go, huh? It's like history does repeat itself, but in this case, it did. Now the big question is going to be this, and we'll get to it. Is Bednar able to gauge his goaltending and back end of his defense well enough in this series? Because we all know that Johnsons can't keep up with anybody, and that's going to be something Bednar is going to have to do a master job of adjusting against. Because that when this series shifts to Tampa, Cooper is going to go ham on that matchup, especially if a certain center is back.
Yeah,
for
and
the Tampa
we'll
Bay
get
Lightning.
to the forwards in a minute.
But
And
it's something.
It's watching what they'll do with the lineups and how they'll handle the changes. It's honestly going to be like watching. They're gonna be playing chess. It's incredible to watch. And the thing is, like, yeah, Edmonton didn't really, or not Edmonton, Colorado didn't have any problems with Edmonton. They didn't have any problems with Nashville. St. Louis was
outside of game 2.
Yeah, but St. Louis was the only team that gave him a fight. So they didn't really have to deal with like the adversity of, oh my God, they're down. Tampa, John Cooper did. Like, granted, the winning and they've been there before, back-to-back cups helps, but they're down 2-0 in the conference finals. He still had to get his team ready. Like, things against Toronto, like that series was up and down. I mean, they came out and got hammered game 1. Like, it's one of those things of like Cooper had to do everything to keep the team on their toes and ready. So if you're looking at coaches, like, what has Bednar really had to do this playoff run?
That is true too.
I mean, he had to adjust his lineup in game 4 and a little bit in game 3 against Edmonton when Kadri went out. He was able to move JT Compher up, and then he moved Mikko Rantanen down in game 4. And then he put Lehkonen up, and he changed his lines a little bit there. But again, we really didn't see a full-on adversity for Colorado because
his biggest decision was what goalie to play.
Binnington got hurt in round 2, so we really never got to see that play out. It would have been interesting to see what Bednar would have done if that series went 7 games and they didn't get the late Darren Helm goal. To me, I mean, I think that's where, but we're gonna see it this series because I think Colorado is gonna be tested in ways that they have not been tested, and Tampa's gonna be in ways that they haven't been tested too. I mean, it's gonna go both ways, and as like you said, until somebody beats this Tampa team 4 times, how can you pick against them right now?
And it never happens. Never happens.
Doesn't happen.
Thanks, Columbus.
Yeah, thanks, Torts.
Good job. Great effort.
You did this.
You did this.
Columbus, the most hated franchise in hockey, and they're not even winning.
I know.
You started this. So it sounds like you guys are giving, at least right now, the edge of coaching. You're giving it to Tampa.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Goaltending. I don't even think we need to describe it. We don't even need to debate it.
Tampa.
Tampa. Vasilevsky 4 checks. No checks for Colorado.
I'll give
him 1 check.
I'll give him 1 check because if we can find a way to get Kemper out of this series, you're probably better off if you're Colorado.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to decide apparently tonight who's starting tomorrow. And, man, if I'm Colorado, how do you not go with Frankie for what he was able to do against that? I mean, you're not keeping them in check, but for the most part, he backstopped the team when they needed him.
I mean, look, he played well. Game 4 was shaky for him. It was
but that whole game was going to be shaky.
Yeah.
He knew Edmonton wasn't going to lie down.
No. But look, it's Tampa, and this is the thing. Can Colorado protect Kemper and or Francouz between the pipes with this Lightning offense that keeps just coming and coming and coming, and 4 checks and 4 checks and 4 checks? Because you see what they can do. You know, especially late in games. This is where coaching is going to come into it, because we saw what Cooper did late in game 2 against Florida, where he snuck Kucherov out and was able to get that late goal. Same thing. He throws his guys out late against the matchup he wants on home ice. You gotta watch what he does. This is where coaching is gonna be a big thing. But Vasilevsky, man, this guy is on fire, and he's getting 3 days rest, the perfect amount of rest for him. and he's going to be ready to roll because he's in the zone right now. I mean, this guy is in the zone, and nothing against Kemper and Francouz. Kemper has been good for them all year, but this guy, he hasn't really shown me what it is to take that next level. He's a good goalie, no doubt. He's here for a reason. Colorado's here for a reason. But they're here despite their goaltending, not because of their goaltending, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's just, I have nothing to add because you look at it, it's just an easy call. Like, it's the easiest thing. If you're going to place money on what goalie has the better series, like 100% of the money is going to go on
Vasilevsky.
And the only reason you put money on the other is for the snowball's chance in hell you hit something. Like, I don't like.
Or is Colorado going to face enough shots to where, I mean, even like for save props, is either Colorado goalie going to hit the over more than once in this series? They may not. They really may not. They may not face enough shots. Colorado is the number one shooting team in the playoffs for a reason. It's not an accident. It's not just the teams that they played against either. They just flat out.
If there's a goalie that can handle that, it's
Vasilevsky, and he loves the rubber. I mean, this guy if he gets seeing shots early and makes big saves early, then he's in. And again, it's going to come down to moving guys east-west. But to me, Tampa has the edge in goaltending, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
All right, a bigger debate, a closer debate. We're going to go to defense now. Colorado has Devin Taves, Cal McCarr as their top. Tampa has Victor Hedman, arguably one of the best in the world. Defensive, like all around, where Cal McCarr is a fantastic offensive. I still would like to see him improve defensively.
I mean,
but he's getting there. I
mean, that play on defense,
good offense.
This is offense.
I mean, that play against McDavid in game 2 where he just kept him out of the edge and just was like, okay, bye-bye, puck. Like, with ease. Like, it wasn't even – he didn't even make it look hard. It was easy.
That was easy.
He just swatted him away like a fly. It's like, bye.
So, where are you leaning with this? Because
Colorado, for me.
Tampa, to me – Tampa is, with me, the high-risk, high-reward type of thing. Like, their defense could be absolutely stout, but it's also a case of their defense could absolutely crap the bed. We've seen it when they've given up 5+ goals in a game. It wasn't because Vasilevsky had a bad night. Granted, part of it, but it's because their defense couldn't break anything up, and they were relying too much on Hedman. Like, Sergachev played terribly in those games. McDonough played terribly in those games. Bogosian is a liability even when he plays well. Cernak, Foot, like, these are guys, like, they can
Jan Ruda.
Yeah, Roto Ruda.
They can play well, but when they have off nights, like, it is noticeable. Where Colorado, if their defense has an off night, you're still being able to, like, even Eric Johnson can bail out. He's the worst of them, but he can bail them. He can still play. His worst night, to me, is still not as bad as when, like, the bottom of Tampa's defense has their worst night.
Like, I'm gonna lean Colorado here just because of Taves, McCarr,
It's a lean.
Byram. It's a lean towards Colorado. But the thing is with you hit the nail on the head. If Tampa can play within their structure, especially defensively, and they're not running around and moving east-west too much, and the seams aren't there, they're very good, especially McDonough blocking shots. I think he had a couple of shots on one of those Ranger power plays. He blocked like 3-4 on his own. Cernak is really good. Sergachev, he can throw pucks at net. He can get in the way. Hedman can move the puck. I mean, that defensive zone breakout, Hedman, the Palat, the Kucherov, the Stamkos for the winner was a thing of beauty. I
think and the thing is, like, I'm going to lean Colorado. I would be all Colorado if Girard was healthy and playing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be all, but I think it's a lean because they're different styles of defense because Victor Hedman isn't the run and gun guy that Cale Makar is. Sergachev is not that, and same like Chernak and is not Taves. Like it's different defensemen. Like Cale Makar is probably the best defenseman we've seen in a long, long time. Like long time.
He's one of my favorite players. He's at the top 3 of favorite players to watch because of how smooth he is. Yeah. Like watching him skate is just like the smoothest thing in the world.
Right, exactly. But to me, like, I'm going to be interested, like, can he get through the structure of Tampa Bay? Because, like, we saw, like, in one game, I think it was the first game, he was, he didn't really have a shot on goal against St. Louis, but then the next game, he had 10 shots.
He adjusted.
He adjusted. Can he adjust against a good team? And, today, he had the line of the playoffs, I think, today. He's like, they're trying to cement a dynasty. We're trying to start a legacy. Like, this guy is like, they're just not fazed by any of this right now, this Colorado team. Like, they're really not. It's really great.
Yeah. I gotta laugh just because I popped up a headline. The Winnipeg Brewery that offered Barry Trotz free beer for life if he takes their job. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess.
Yep.
Good selling point.
Isn't a sign of desperation. Getting Barry Trotz is a sign of a Hall of Fame coach coming to coach Pierre-Luc Dubois.
I mean, look, to me, like I said, I think it's a lean on for Colorado just because of the way they can move the puck and the defenseman. But man, Ryan McDonough is still like, this guy is, that defense on Tampa is still really good. And as Coop said after, I believe it was round 1, all these guys wear 88. It feels like 88 plays 5 positions because they're all blocking shots. So that's another thing. So to me,
yeah, Colorado's defense has to stretch out Tampa Bay's offense in this series, and they're capable. Look, the emergence of Byram can stay. Byram has to stay healthy for Colorado to win this series. He is kind of that second pair X factor. I mean the way he played against Edmonton in particular. I know a lot of people didn't stay up late to watch, some of the later portions of that series, and I could understand that because Colorado was the much better team.
But all the games were on at 8.
Yeah, but trust me, people even complaining then it's like, oh, but the game went to overtime.
It could be the NBA where every game starts at 9:20.
Yeah, that's bad.
Oh, it's rough. It's a rough look. But that's the thing.
So do you both give the edge to Colorado here?
Colorado.
Yeah, I'll give it slightly, but very, very. And I kind of have the same opinion moving to the main event here. The closest battle to me is the forwards. And this, especially, and we're going to go on the assumption here for the purposes of this, that both Point and Kadri are back. Because Point is likely back. Kadri, I think by game 3 he's back.
Yeah, Kadri is just a pain tolerance issue. If he can tolerate the
and I think a chance at a cup, he'll tolerate more than usual.
Well, I mean, Tyler Seguin played with a fractured foot. I think this guy's gonna play with whatever he's gonna have to put on his hand to play in a Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Seguin had a detached everything?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Seguin, the only reason he had a foot is because of the skin surrounding it.
Yeah, exactly. Man, so close. I mean, I don't even know if anybody has an edge. I mean, I think it's a push. Look at the top. You got Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen. You got Point coming back, more than likely. Like, all signs point to him being back. Again, but both guys are
Kucherov, Killorn. Like, this is disgusting. I think we're obviously, and I think you guys agree. Yeah, you know what? We got to give the edge to Tampa because they got Pat Maroon, right? 4 straight.
And you got the worm. And you got the worm on your team.
And you got Corey Perry coming back after back-to-back after losing to Tampa 2 straight years.
Yo, the Marian Hossa, man. These guys going for the Hossa.
But this series offensively, it's going to be made or it's going to be make or break by the depth scoring. It's going to be what can guys like a JT Compher and
Ross Colton
and things like that do.
Belmar.
What's Nichushkin going to be able to do?
Lehkonen.
And then
Is Burakovsky
Tampa.
100%? You know, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Belmar.
Is Cogliano going to be back in the series for Colorado? Like,
is Nicholas Paul going to score some game-winning goals here again? Like, what's he going to do?
He's got 2 goals, both against Toronto, man. That's it.
I know. Is he going to show back up?
He's just magically show back up?
They need me now.
Wait a minute. What about a guy like Riley Nash, who's like just doing his thing with that line? I mean, look, to me, it's pretty evenly matched offensively. I mean, look, the top lines kind of cancel each other out, and again, this is where. If a guy like Point's coming in, he's playing your third line in power play, man, edge Tampa because, I mean, you have a guy like Braden Point on your third line because you're not breaking up that second line of Cirelli, Hagel, and Killorn. You're just not doing it because they're just shutting down everybody. So he's going to slot in your third, and he's going to play like that, and he's going to be like Yanni Gourde when he first came up. That's ridiculous.
That's a great line. I think there's a lot of magic tricks docs can do, and they will do magic tricks. They will inject him and splint him and do whatever they can.
So there's your question on Kadri for game 1.
Wait, what was it? Here you go. Braden Point on his status. Yeah, well, we'll still have to see. I don't think anything's guaranteed, but just fun to be out there with the team again. Like,
see, and I don't buy anything anyone's saying until I see the players on the ice.
He's like, Cooper's like, we'll know more tomorrow. If not game 1, then by game 2.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's playing. I think Point's playing tomorrow. He's had 2 full practices with the team. I think he's good for game 1.
This is
chess.
Before we go with who we're giving the actual edge to for this, I mean, it's close. I'm leaning towards a push here.
Colorado.
Do you think, though, this is the first time for McKinnon, for Landeskog, for Radnan? Tampa Bay's been there and done that. Does that have any impact, the forward unit, like for a Kucherov, for a Stamkos? Like, they know what to expect in this type of thing. And the environment they're getting into and the atmosphere and just how over the top it could be, how overwhelming a cup final. It's not like any other series of the playoffs at all. It's completely different. Does that matter at all towards how anything goes?
I mean, this sounds like these guys are ready. I mean, McKinnon was saying today, he's like, this is what you live for. We feel alive right now. I mean, he knows it's going to be difficult. He even said this is going to be a difficult task today. This isn't. We're not playing a Cinderella story. He wants to beat the team that's the champs. Like, he likes the fact they're playing Tampa. They're up for the challenge. They believe in the team. They believe in what they can do. When Tampa got there the first time in 2015, when they went up against Chicago, they were up 2-1 in the series, and it didn't seem to faze them. But you could see they made some mistakes that a team that's hadn't been there in a while make. Guys, sometimes the sticks get tight. Sometimes the passes just don't get there because it's the Stanley Cup Final, because you haven't been there before and you're going against the champs. I mean, look, it could play a factor. Sometimes it does play a factor, but you can't be afraid of the moment. And I think if anything we've learned is, and you go back, Chris, we go back to 95. That Devils team afraid of the moment? No. They weren't afraid of the moment. They were ready. The big question is Colorado ready to take and win the Stanley Cup? Is it their time? Have they gone through the growing pains and the learning experiences to win a Stanley Cup?
So, before we get into our actual finals predictions and we wrap this week up, I'm going with a push. It's too close for me. I can't go one way or the other, even if both play.
I think it's a push to me. It's 4 check marks aside to each guy, easily.
Here we go. Colorado gets 4.1 check marks to Tampa's 4.
Okay.
The factor in this is simple. Look, Point is going to be a bottom 6 sort of power play quasi sort of guy for the first half of the series, or that's the belief that we're.
I think at least the first game, and if he comes out flying game 1 and looks
great,
good
then it's a
what he should,
different
then
story.
Game 2, he's full go.
He's full. So I mean, look, would I rather have Kadri or Point in this type of series? Honestly, Kadri at this point, because of what he can do. This is going to be an ugly series. I know it doesn't seem like it, but Tampa's a team that likes to get dirty after the whistles, and
they like to press
Yep.
the defense. They like to press the defense. They want to clog the neutral zone. They don't want to give you too much. They want to slow it down. Structure versus speed. 2001.
Yep, and I think ultimately, look, early in the series, Tampa may have an advantage here. I mean, would I be surprised if Tampa even steals game 1? No. But as this series goes along, Colorado's offense is going to get better and better. Wow, I feel like I'm saying this the reverse of the Tampa Rangers series, but it does kind of have that look where one team's going to get a little better, and can Vasilevsky and company hold down that onrush and onslaught later in the series, and that's where the biggest questions lie.
Yeah, and we saw with Tampa against the Rangers. Yeah, early on they didn't have their legs because of the time off, but they got their legs later on. Does the same thing happen because does Colorado get their legs early on, and does Tampa start to fade? I don't know, because I think they've been there before and they know what to expect and they've done it before. But I agree. I think it's a push. If everybody's involved, I think it's a push.
So here's the $1 million question. Who takes it home?
Till somebody beats Tampa 4 times. Champs are champs. I mean, would I be surprised if Tampa won again? No, not at all. Not at all. Colorado wins. They were expected to. They were the favorites. They fulfilled their destiny. Look, the key for me is, can Colorado beat Tampa 4 times? That's going to be it. When you have this team on the mat, can you give them the knockout blow?
Yeah, I have bet against Tampa every single series.
Keep doing it.
No.
Keep
Tampa
doing
in
it.
6.
Keep doing it.
Tampa in 6. You're welcome. Tampa in 6. That's where I'm going. But I have said, I said every series, this was it for Tampa. Every single one.
Oh God.
This one. It's Tampa in 6.
All right, Tampa fans, on behalf of all Tampa Bay Lightning fans, we apologize.
We apologize.
Mike Straw on June 14th, and on a full supermoon, has bequeathed your team. We do humbly apologize. He has gone the Chris Wassel Rangers defense here. He has picked the team that will be jinxed. Unquestionable.
You know what?
I'm here. Okay, we get it. You have hair.
I know, right?
Oh, look, I can twirl my hair. Bite us.
I don't care about twirling.
All right, Chris.
No hair. All right, as much as I would love to pick Tampa Bay, if there is any time that a dynasty is going, quote unquote dynasty, is going to get dethroned, it is probably now. Look, Tampa Bay has the advantage of, in order to be the team, you have to beat the team. I understand that. But this is Tampa Bay's first cup defense, not in that thing called a bubble.
No, it's not.
Technically, yes and no. But technically, yes and no, because remember, with Montreal, it was sort of like that weird sort of.
That wasn't a bubble. That was still in Montreal.
But it wasn't the same. Montreal was like, I don't know. They were like pedestrians in the wind.
Yeah, it didn't matter who was in that crowd. They were going to destroy Montreal anyway.
Yeah, they were exactly. They were destroy him.
Tampa Bay is now facing a team in the Stanley Cup Final, and a team that can press them in ways that every other team that they have faced previously, the other 11, cannot.
Well, it's only happened 3 times when a team has gone 12-2 and in the Stanley Cup playoffs up to this point and won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and we know one of them that stopped that.
Yeah. So
ironically with structure, which I'm going against. Go figure.
Go figure. Look, Chris, you've seen the odds. Like everybody's seen them. Like Tampa is getting plus money everywhere.
Yes.
And
you put money on that.
You have to.
I would put.
Do you hedge slam a flyer on Tampa Bay?
Yeah,
and then
I
on
would.
The back door. And
I
on
would.
the back door, go with Colorado in a certain amount of games.
Yes, I would 100% do that.
Yes, we've invented a new term, guys. The hedge slam.
No, but to me, it's like the champs are getting like, no, I don't want to say disrespected, but like they're a heavy underdog, like the first time ever in the Stanley Cup Final. No disrespect to like Dallas and Montreal. Neither team was beating Tampa. Like, let's be honest. Like neither team was beating Tampa. Like they're up for the challenge, and even after the series was over with the Rangers, like all I heard was Tampa's gonna get smoked. Tampa's gonna get smoked. Tampa's gonna get smoked. Wait,
really?
Did you not just see what they did?
No, it's true. I mean, it's one of those where it's closer than it appears.
It's going to be Tampa's biggest test in the last 3 years, but
yeah,
you're welcome, Colorado.
Yeah, games 5 and 6 are your championship games. I do think this is 2-2 headed to game 5.
Yeah, I think so too.
I know a lot of people seem to be picking 7 games for some reason, or I've seen a lot of people.
I keep thinking 6.
I think it's 6. I think it's 6. I think it's a 6 or 7. I think it's a 6 series, to be honest. To be
fair, I could even see there's a part of me that sees a 5-game series.
Which way, though?
I think Tampa. If Colorado comes out and if Colorado comes out and gets smacked around in game 1, I think it's way more demoralizing to them than if Tampa gets smacked around in game 1, because Tampa's had that happen.
Tampa doesn't care.
They don't care. Could you see a scenario?
Comes out tomorrow and gets smacked around, Tampa could smell blood in the water, and Tampa will do what Tampa does.
And they're going to go for the jugular in game 2 and pretty much end the series in game 2. And that's going to be it.
That's the only way that's the way I see it going.
I could see this playing out like 18, when Washington probably should have won game 1 and then rattled up 4 straight. Tampa could lose their first game and be like, all right, whatever, come back and just make it a gentleman's sweep and be like, yeah, okay. But it's gonna be a fun series. I think this is what the NHL wanted. They needed 2 teams like this in there. The 2 best teams pretty much all playoffs, and you're going to have it in the Stanley Cup Final. And on a major network.
And NHL, they can't be happy. They can't be happier than what they are. It's been a terrific first year for ratings back on ESPN and with Turner. So
imagine how good it would have been on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
Well, we were talking about that on Sunday, Jim.
We were. I'm like, why wasn't this game on Saturday night on ABC? Like, they put the press release out Saturday. If there's a game 7, it's going to be on ABC. What about game 6?
I mean, they hit what 2-8, Jim? Without
2-8 2-8 without ABC, destroyed everything after 8 o'clock on network television.
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Not surprising at all.
And I get why. All right. That being said, my prediction. Colorado in 6. Get this. Your difference makers in this series are Byram and Taves. I think Taves can shut down the top line of Tampa Bay just enough. I don't think Point makes a difference as much later in the series as he could early. I do think
Point is going to make a difference. It's
going to be early. Yeah, it's going to be early. The key.
He's going to need some points.
Yeah, no pun intended. Your key inflection point. Hey, you had to go there as the host. That's it's a tough job. But the key inflection point games of the series are 2 and 5. 2 will be to see who responds depending on what happens in game 1, and 5 obviously because we all seem to think that this is going to be 2-2 in some way. Who wins that game 5? As we all know, like Trident, 4 out of 5 teams that win game 5 go on to win the whole thing. So it's one of those series where you can go a multitude of ways And you know what? That makes it fun for us, the media, and fans alike. What else? What more can we ask for, guys? Seriously.
And you could put money on it. If Tampa wins Game 5 and it's 3-2 going back to Tampa,
good night.
Like, good night.
Yeah.
Like, good night.
It's going to be a fantastic time. It's going to be a fantastic series. Everybody tune in. We'll be seeing this discussion and where we're at come next weekend.
Yes.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see who's up in the series.
Because we will have 2 games have been played by then. Wednesday and Saturday.
3 games.
Is there a game on Monday?
3
yes.
games.
Remember, it's Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
For some reason, I thought it was Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. But that's better. So will we see? Where will we be at? Make sure you are following us at Facebook or Twitter.com/FullPressNHL. Follow Jim at Jim Behringer, Chris at Chris Wassel DFS, myself and Mike Straw Media. Tune in every Tuesday for the rest of the season at 7 p.m. Come the end of the season, we'll be back at our normal 8 o'clock time. Actually, maybe stick at 7. I don't know. I kind of like the earlier time, but we'll see.
I like the earlier time. The sun's still out.
Exactly. We can go out and enjoy the rest of the night, the rest of the day. We have NHL draft in just 3 weeks. 3 weeks from
Trade the pick.
Thursday.
Trade the pick. Team trade the pick.
Sabres with 3 first-round picks. Let's go. We are 4 weeks.
Don't beat Boston.
Yeah. Don't be Boston.
We are 4 weeks from tomorrow of NHL free agency starting. We got a lot coming up here.
Wow.
Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time,